like I want to use technology to help me do anything. But in terms of AI, I mean, it's an era defining moment, right? So there's before AI and there's after AI. And, whatever gen we're on is going to be the AI generation, and I can't fathom not using it. I use it every day. I pay for it. You have to use it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or you're going to be left in the dust.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?
Hi, everyone. I'm Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast. Today, I am very excited to be here with Marisa Amirian, my friend and keeper of my CRM now. So I'm gonna let you tell your story, Marisa. There's a lot that I want to kind of sing your praises, but we'll let people kind of know what you do and what's important that I'll be excited about. But first, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for coming to talk to me. I'm really excited about this one.
Me too. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, chat with you today.
Absolutely. Well, tell us your story. I know some of it, but let's let the listeners hear about you.
My story. So my name is Marisa Amirian. I am the founder, owner of CapBloom. CapBloom is a CRM. We're a product. We're a service. We help capital raisers, business owners, entrepreneurs professionalize operations and set up all their CRM and all this technical stuff. But the story about CapBloom goes back a couple years, and I guess starts even further back than that. My background is in technology. I'm a techie. I've been in that world since the 90s. And I worked in a small firm where I got my hands dirty with like a lot of different technologies. And I was a jack of all trades with websites and programming and software development and just, kind of getting my hands dirty in a lot of different spaces. And then I left my job in like 2014 to move home and be closer to family. I freelance doing website stuff and social media marketing, and then decided I was going to jump into real estate and bought some single family rentals and got into the real estate space and wanted to scale up, joined a multifamily coaching program. And in there where I met you and other friends, I started helping them build out their tech stack, their capital raising system. CRM, calendar, or this, that, just all the technical components of that round out the activities of what it is that you want to do when you're capital raising, tracking, nurturing, contacting, getting face to face with people. And so I was building out this tech stack for some of our mutual contacts, and I turned it into a business, and that's kind of where we are now. So now CapBloom is helping capital raisers raise capital, and we're doing all different kinds of things for our clients in terms of outreach, data, automation, saving time. There's parts of it that I really, really am interested in and want to dive deeper into. So the business is shifting a little bit here and there, and it's exciting.
Yeah. It's for those listening, we recently switched over to CapBloom from a different CRM, and I mean it's just a totally different experience. Like, I think to me, CapBloom is you, right? Like that, the tech stuff of it is great, and I didn't even necessarily realize the level of automation that we could go to and still have it seem and be personalized, right? For the people that you're reaching out to. And again, that to me, that comes from you. I don't think it's just a tech platform. I think, a lot of your suggestions and ideas around messaging and how to kind of approach and interact with investors. And I think, I don't know what your long-term plans are with this, but to me, you could use this in almost any sales, building any sales funnel, right? Like not necessarily just capital raising, but it's,
100%.
We'll talk about this at some point, probably offline. But when I get this construction business in hand, we may be building some sales funnels there. So
Oh, that's exciting.
yeah, if you want, but I've already thought about that. I was like, yeah, we could do this in a million different ways. But I do feel like it's you. You're what makes CapBloom great in, like, alongside of that tech stuff, because there's a lot of platforms out there that people use, but without the same sort of personalized service. Sort of a real estate inspired podcast. Let's talk a little bit about your sort of real estate journey, and maybe a little bit about, sort of why didn't just go fully that way, and then CapBloom came about, because I think there's some interesting pieces to talk about there.
Sure. I was home with my kids for a couple years when we started investing in real estate, and I was, freelancing on the side, doing, a couple of these technology gigs and marketing stuff. And we started buying single family. We have one small multi, rentals in Philadelphia, and we were borrowing everything, buy and hold, rehab. And my first house that I bought was just like a year. It took a year. It was like this giant, 4-bedroom, which is pretty big in Philly for a row home. And it needed to be completely gutted. And it was like I was in over my head, but I learned a lot. And we bought a couple and managed them ourselves. We still own them. But truthfully, what happened was around 2022, we had bought a couple, and I was, trying to figure out like what I'm going to do next with my life. I stopped drinking in 2022 and got really like clear, healthier. That was kind of a thing that was sort of weighing me down for a while. And it completely changed my life, stopping drinking. And I was like, I'm gonna do something new, make a change. My kids are getting older. I needed to, my brain needed to get back to work. I needed to do something. So I was gonna start, I was like, what do we do next? We have all these rentals, like, let's scale, let's go bigger. And that's when I decided to join Apartment Addicts, and I was starting on this new life. Like, a lot had changed for me. And so that's kind of where we landed. And that was like my first step in that direction, was joining coaching program, Apartment Addicts, going to buy an apartment building. And then when I got in there, I was so overwhelmed by all the different things that needed to be done and accomplished. And I just said to myself, like, how can I find people, partners, my thing? I don't have any multifamily experience. I don't have I had real estate experience. I had rehab experience. But I didn't, I haven't pulled the trigger enough times to be confident in anything that I had done. And I decided to just help people. I was like, how can I add value? How can I get in? How can I become friends? And I just did what I know how to do. And that's technology, digitizing things, building out processes. Like, during my time off, I digitized our PTO. I took books and binders and turned them into Google Docs and spreadsheets. Like, I'm always touching technology. I have Thanksgiving, planned from years back in Google Sheets. Like, everything I do is in technology somehow. So that's my value add. That's how I add value is building out processes and digitizing and, using technology to do it. I always wanted to put technology in front of real estate. How can I, build a house, buying houses, I was like working on the website and the SEO and the marketing for that. So that's kind of where that whole twisty, windy road, that's where I ended up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, timing's a funny thing, right? Like the other thing that happened in 2022 is interest rates shot up very quickly and unexpectedly, and real estate on the multifamily side kind of just came to a screeching halt. So it was, I think that, I don't know, like people say everything happens for a reason. Maybe that's true. Maybe I don't know. Like, people, but I think that you can either react and adapt and make something good of what's going on, or you can kind of wallow and let it pass you by. And I think that that's you saw a way to contribute to the group, to be helpful to that community, and then, oh great, let's turn this into a business. Like, that's the stuff, like that's the stuff that people who have success, like that's what happens, right? Like that's what you do. You find a need and fill that need with your skill set, and it's ultimately, I think that's where I'm terrible. Well, I'm terrible with tech. I'm not. It is not my skill set, but like it's you think about things. It's a very valuable skill set to have, and you can look at a lot of the biggest companies today came from that similar kind of tech starting point, where that whether that's Amazon and selling books out of a garage, or it's
Yep.
Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook, and like filling a need and using technology to do it. I think it's just it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's just a really great example of like that pivot of finding and it started with taking care of yourself and your health. Like that's, I think too many times we maybe compartmentalize all of that. Like our health is one thing, our growth, business, whatever it is another thing. It's just, I think it gets too separated out. But you're in that short bit of your story, I feel like you showed how it all ties together, like it all matters. And
Oh, it does.
it's you can't just like decide I'm going to pick one part of me to fix or work on, or whatever that it kind of all really ties together. So I think I appreciate you sharing that story. And I know, just from us knowing each other and working together, get to spend a lot of time at the beach in the summer, which is like, this is when we talk about on the podcast, or you hear people talk about it, like designing your life, like you're doing that. You're like a picture of doing exactly that. And so it's kind of a cool thing. In you said you have some ideas on CapBloom as far as pivots or additions or pieces that you're interested in. Are there things you can share, or you want to keep them sort of quiet for now, or what you're I don't want to spill any proprietary secrets.
No, I mean, it's just what I'm seeing and just different clients asking for different things. It's really cool to be able to take on new clients and then share with, the rest of my clients, like just kind of what they're doing. So, for example, my client now, they're raising, 4 to 6 times a year. They're bigger and they deal with retail and institutional, but I'm taking what was a very manual spreadsheet process, and turning it into sort of more an automated process. But that's not what is even interesting about this. We're starting to track so many data points. We're modeling out his whole institutional and retail investor world inside the CRM. And just in terms of data going forward with CRMs in general and AI is, the idea that you can just push a button and fill out, all these data points about investors. You know, he's manually tracking all this data, but just imagine if someone, stops by your world and, their email address shows up. Sure, but you can push a button and all of a sudden, everything about them, their habits, their demographics, and like you can maybe predict too, is this person going to invest with me? So like just using AI to round out data and predictive indexes about customers. And that's just is not specific to capital raising. It's all businesses. Anyone who has a customer, anyone who is serving a person, the data is out there and there are tools that are doing all of these things. And I could cobble together a tech stack to do it today. But I'm just really interested in, I like automating these back end data crunching sort of things and, modeling out someone's world, that kind of stuff kind of really more excites me more so than the marketing stuff. And, just really improving someone's idea and their visual, their dashboard about what they have, what they're sitting on, who's going to pull the trigger, who's going to likely invest in this deal. And then saying, well, what kind of investors do I have? What kind of deals can I go after? And people are sitting on this data. And maybe they don't care about it yet, but I think that's kind of the direction that people are going to start caring about because to your point about 2022 interest rates were dropping, a lot of people had a lot of time on their hands around them. They weren't finding deals and they were spending time thinking about these things. And now the technology is moving so much faster. And I think people are just thinking more about this type of stuff because it's getting, the market's still tough out there. People are having a hard time finding deals or raising capital, all of it. So finding these ways to enrich data to just, knowledge is power. Data is power, so finding these little ways to just give you more insight is, I think, what's coming.
Yeah. You've spoken about this. I mean, I know you're a techie, data driven. I mean, that's important. But I also you've talked a lot about sort of making sure that the technology and using AI and all of that ties in with sort of a personalized piece because it's very unlikely. I think if you're an established syndicator and you've been raising capital for a long time, it's probably you send out an email, you probably can do most of it from an automated standpoint with your existing investors. They already know you, they've invested several times with you in the past, they're like, okay, yes, this person has another deal, like I'll go ahead. But when you're trying to attract new investors, which is probably the hardest part right now, is because the people that invest and know that as a strategy, they do it, kind of as part of their wealth building structure in their lives. Like you can skip over a lot of the conversation and sort of get right to the deal and, sort of your business plan for that deal. But when you're looking to, bring in new people that are, have never invested before and they're like, maybe sounds like a good idea. There's got to be some level of personalization there. You're not going to be able to, I mean, maybe some people can, but I don't believe you're going to put out a post on social media or send out one email and someone's going to be like, yes, I want to invest, with that person. So
Never.
You've talked about it. I've seen you talk about, we've talked about it, you've talked about it on social media, but like talk a little bit about how you see those two parts playing together. Because I think some people think technology, AI, all that, like completely impersonal, automation, completely impersonal, but it's really not in the way that you approach it. So I wanted to have you talk a little bit about kind of where you think the personalization should come in, how you think that all fits together.
Well, we know this business is built on relationships. So all of those tools, technology, AI, automations, they're just sort of tools in an effort to get to that face to face, and you have to use them wisely. And when I say automations, everyone's like, you're sending me automated emails, and that's not even always what I'm talking about. Automations can mean a number of things. They can just simply make your life easier. They can build right now, building a workflow to send out all these emails, and they're all automated and they're good. They're personalized to the person in terms of dear whatever. They are sending out the information about the deal, getting them to sign up for the registration to the webinar, and then reminding them. I mean, these are basic automations that we're sending out. That's going to happen. But some of the automations that I like to build are stuff that's happening on the back end, like I said, like filling out data. And, if you're, building out a rounder picture of a person and making sure that, if someone is super engaged, right? If they're clicking on this, if they're clicking on that, that's a person that you're likely is going to pick up the phone and talk to you if you call them. They've done a number of things. So just serving up that kind of data will help. And so, we're not talking about automations all the time that are these impersonal type things. They're things that people don't even know that are happening. And then in terms of AI, it's just using it wisely. Like, people ask me all the time, am I using AI? And the answer is yes, of course I am, but it's not necessarily in the way that they think. I'm not having, people aren't going to be having AI conversations necessarily about your investment. I'm not ready to sick a bot, a chat bot out on the web that's going to answer questions about, because my biggest thing, and I always say this, is like, I don't want a chat bot promising infinite returns to somebody. These bots can be liars. You have to check them. But in terms of like AI there's tools out there that I can plop an email address in, and then an AI bot is going to go out there, scour the web and fill in N data points about this person. And so now I have a data set of very enriched. It's going to get their LinkedIn profile. It's going to get their demographics. It's going to predict their gender based on certain things. It's going to tell you their job title, and it's going to give this all to you in a very pretty format. And then you'll be able to say, this person probably makes this much money, I should add them to my list maybe. And, and that's a very simplified view of it. But that's kind of what I'm talking about when I'm saying that we're using these types of automations in AI and like where those things are going, to be more personal. The type of thing that we do is kind of, enrich that data and say to AI, can you make a nice email about this person based on this data, and they make it very personalized. Those are some of the things that we can do.
Yeah. And
does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, it's good. I think that people, it's interesting because I've sort of recently been started like following some people that like work specifically in like AI space, and like kind of in their whole business model is like implementing AI systems into people's businesses. And so this is something that I do not understand it to the level that you do. Like I said, I'm not a techie, but I recently started creating a bid generator in ChatGPT. So where you can essentially you could do this all manually. You could say, okay, I'm going to go through the last year of receipts of, my materials or whatever business, right? My year of receipts of materials. What is this stuff? What does it cost for each thing, right? And then you can also go through and look at all of your invoices and see, what did I get paid for, this specific job? And again, this could be any industry. But then you can create a system where someone is reaching out for a job, whatever it is, if it's a construction job or it's a a manufacturer, whatever the business, but like they reach out and they can have, in theory, you might even be able to upload the plans and have the AI tool essentially look at the plans and say, this is what it's going to cost you to do, right? You've put in your labor rates, all this is what's going to cost you to build. Okay, put a margin on that, like put a safety, for overages, something like that, and you can. And so I again, like, I'm very basic with this stuff, but I started building it, and it's like you can get there very, very quickly, rather than being able to, or rather than having to like build that spreadsheet out yourself in Excel or whatever, which you can do it, but it's like,
Yep.
but then once you build that tool, then you could literally just every time a proposal comes in, you like have certain things that you have to have the prospective client fill out, and you're like boop into that GPT, and it should give you like, this is what your bid. You're going to have to check them and make sure that it's sort of, but it also should be able to track changes in pricing of materials, changes in labor, things like, it should be able to kind of know. I mean, when I was playing with it, I just said, tell me, look at prevailing wage in Los Angeles. And it's like,
That's cool.
it can pull from all over, and it's like, these are the ranges for all of these trades and stuff. And it's just, but at the end of the day, I still have to, whether we're talking to investors or you're looking for clients to join you in CapBloom, like you still have to have a conversation and talk to them on a very human level, and talk about like why we as the business owners are the right fit for them, or us as the syndicators are the right fit for them. And so, because most people are investing in especially when it comes to investing, they're investing in you, and I would argue that probably that same phenomenon equates in other large ticket items, like a,
100%. Yeah.
a coaching program, like if someone wants you to build their house, like they probably are going to make a lot of that decision around how they feel about you. They may have some referrals and things like that, but they're probably, a lot of it's going to be about you. And so when you're talking about automation and the tech stack and all of that, like that isn't why I am a CapBloom client now. Like that's not and so I think people need to understand, like that's not, it makes our lives easier so that we can focus on the personalization piece of it, right? Instead of spending
Absolutely.
all your time on, oh, I needed to follow up with this person, I needed to send this person X, like all of that stuff can be happening in the background for you, and you just are calling them or shooting them a text or an email like, hey, how's it going, like like you can actually just be a person, and it takes that automation, the technology takes that stuff off your plate and makes room for the other things. And I think it's just people seem to have very strong opinions about, especially AI. Like I think people are resistant to new technologies, and then
100%.
one day they're just a part of our lives. It's like, I think people don't realize, I didn't realize this, iPhones came out in 2007. Like that wasn't that long ago. And now
Right.
we all have a smartphone that basically you can run your entire life from your hand. You can run your business, you can run your family life, you can, I mean, it's all there. And it's like, AI is coming. It's already here. It's going to be a part of all of that. And it's like, you might as well learn how to use it to your advantage, rather than sort of trying to resist that, and say it's like too impersonal, because it's just like, that's not been my experience, is that you can actually personalize it almost more than you can than we used to be able to with other tech. I don't know if you if you have thoughts on that, or what you think, what you see as the future in terms of AI use.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the technology, AI, automations, all of it are just, bridges and tunnels to this, to the actual conversation, right? We're setting up, like you said, they're helpers along the way so that you can focus on this, and they're just like inching you towards this. I think that, like you said, you're building a GPT to help you. I built a bunch of GPTs to help me help my clients,
Yeah.
And anything that you're going to do over and over again, you're going to build an AI that's going to help you do it. So you just plug it in once, you build it, it learns, you want to be able to do that. Like I have email sequencing GPTs, and I have my LinkedIn GPT that helps me write my LinkedIn posts, I want to use technology to help me do anything. But in terms of AI, I mean, it's an era defining moment, right? So there's before AI and there's after AI. And,
Yeah.
whatever gen we're on is going to be the AI generation, and I can't fathom not using it. I use it every day. I pay for it. You have to use it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, or you're going to be left in the dust. The amount of change that we've seen in Chat GPT alone since it came out is mind-blowing. Every day it gets smarter. The less you use it, the bigger the gap between what you're doing now and what you're doing in the future is going to become. If you didn't start using it, you're behind, as far as I'm concerned. So I have a GPT that's that's a couple months old at this point. So this thing is learning, and it's leaps and bounds ahead of someone else's GPT that they are building today. You know what I mean? And pretty soon these things are going to be building themselves, and that's a whole other podcast episode that we need to talk about.
Yeah.
I am like a big sci-fi nerd and just have nightmares about, the singularity and all that kind of stuff. So I'm using it, but with trepidation and fear a little bit. So, but I'm just like endlessly fascinated by it. Anything I can do to get my hands dirty in technology, I'm trying. And this is one of those moments where you're like, OMG, I cannot believe that this can do this. I can ask it how to build itself. If I don't know how to build a GPT, I can sit down right now and say, can you help me build your GPT? Like,
right.
You can have a conversation with it and ask it how to build itself, and it'll tell you. It's just crazy. So that alone makes there no excuse for you to say I'm not using it. So
yeah, it is. And I think we've talked about this before, but I talk to it politely.
Yes,
I talk to it like I'm talking to a person. Like, can you please do this? And oh, that was good, but can you please change this little piece of it or whatever? And it's funny how how almost like life alive it becomes, but it really is. It is just like a phenomenal tool. It's very, very helpful. Maybe they already have it, but I know that they're if it's not already available, like there's development where you just talk to it. So you don't even have to type things in. You just literally like have a conversation and say, okay, now try this.
Sure.
And there it goes. And it's shockingly fast, just shockingly fast when you ask it to, like, I felt like I was giving it a very complex job building this bid generator. And it was like 15 seconds. It was like, here you go. You like all the data on materials and prevailing wages for like a large, and I was like, wow, that like just incredible. And people have to understand, you can't just believe everything it says either. Like, you have to double check it. Bit of, you have to do some fact checking. You have to do, but like, if you do that and you teach it, like, oh, these things were right, but this was wrong. Like, then it will learn and like, you'll get more and more accurate results the more you work with it. So I mean,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
is a fascinating thing.
yeah, and to your point about being nice to it, don't I know you're not this, but just don't be an asshole. Like, don't be an asshole ever to anyone, right? But
Right. Right.
if
Yeah.
you be an asshole to your GPT at your own peril, because it's a machine that knows things
Who
and
knows? Yeah.
it
Who
will
knows what
build
it'll.
a revenge. It's going to build a revenge bot to come and get you. That's what I
Yeah.
think. I don't know. Maybe not. That might be a little kooky. I just, I believe in
Yeah.
karma.
Yeah.
So
You
just
don't
be
want to make
nice
it
to your
angry. I
GPT.
think.
You don't want to make it angry because it knows things.
Yeah.
It's gonna,
Yeah.
but I mean, you can ask you can ask it to build code, and it'll write you beautiful code. Life is changing as we know it because of these
Yeah.
things, right? Because of this technology, and that's really the whole point.
Yeah. No, it's very fascinating. Well, let me
It is.
let me switch gears. I want to ask you the questions I get to ask every guest. First one,
Okay.
of course, is based on the name of the show. What is your why? What's sort of your North Star, keeps you motivated?
My two humans that I am raising in the world are my why. I want their life to be better than mine. I want them to grow up to be well-rounded, worldly people, citizens of the earth. I want them to be as successful as possible, as healthy as possible. I share a lot with my kids about life and the world, and this happened and that happened to me, and in the everyday life. I try and teach them about not being shocked by others, and just meeting as many different kinds of people in the world so they can be as successful as possible. They are my why. I want to be healthy for them. I want to get old and be alive and around for them. I don't want to be a burden to them. I'm watching my parents go through a lot of stuff right now. And, so it's really my kids, my daughter, Ryan, and my son, Shane. That's my why. I just, to be wonderful beings in the world. That's what I want for them, their happiness. And then when I get older, I want to be around and lively and active. So I take care of myself
Yeah.
now, like very much. I want to be around for them and for their kids and whatnot. So that's kind of my why, I think, in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think we've talked about this some, but yeah, that it's funny as you get older and like, I guess I feel like I never used to think about like mortality but I don't know if it's just getting older or it's just having kids where I'm like, no, I really want to live longer. like
Yeah.
now I really want to live longer, and I want to live healthier and like be able to like just do like I also don't want to just be here. Like I don't want to be a lump
No,
when as they
no,
like I want to
you
be
can't.
right. I want to be me still. I'll be an older me, but I want to be
Yeah.
me so that I can be, a part of. It's funny that everybody, well, not everybody, most people probably know who LeBron James is. Played, very famous basketball player, plays for the Lakers now. His son now plays for the Lakers as well, which is like, to me, like
It's
one of
crazy.
the most amazing things like I could ever imagine. Like you get to be,
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things have to align there, right? Like he started at 18 in the NBA. He had his son at a relatively young age, and he's had a really long, successful career. So all of those things had to happen for
Yeah.
this to happen. Like there's a reason it's never happened before. Well, I think the Griffeys maybe in baseball played in the same, but like it doesn't happen commonly where like there are
Right.
guys in the NFL now who I watched their dads play, but their dads have been retired for 5 and 10 years. Like, so, but like to be able to actually be on the same team and play like with
It's
your, and it's
wild.
like his poor son like gets all this crap like, oh, he doesn't really deserve to
Sure.
be like, I don't give a shit. I
Oh,
don't give it, like, if for no other reason, like, he's clearly good enough. Like, if he was that bad, no one would have taken. But like, it's just like, and I think about that, and I'm like, is there a chance that I could play soccer with my kids on the same day game, on the same team, like someday? And I'm like, well, that probably means I got to play soccer till I'm like 60 or 67. Like that's a long time. But I'm like, all
possible.
right, I'll give it a shot. I'll see what I'll see what happens. Like, I don't want to give it up now, so I'll just keep going. But yeah, it's just it is really kind of a cool thing to like, not just, I don't, like I said, I don't just want to be around. Like, I want to
No,
be like really like in it. Like, I want to
alive.
be a part of it. I want to be
You want to
alive.
be alive.
Like
Yeah.
when they were, I mean, my kids are still pretty young, but like when my son, I can't remember like exactly what ages, but like I'm not sure if my daughter was born yet or what, but like I was having like a lot of knee pain, and was like, realized I couldn't really get on the floor to play with them. And
Oh,
I like,
yeah.
and I was like, nah, that's not. So like, I was like, everything I do at the gym, I have a trainer, like everything shifted to longevity with my, like it's literally, I was like, I need to be able to play with my kids. Like that's
Yeah.
it. Like, that's what we have to focus on. Like, I don't care if I lift as much weight as I used to lift. Like, I don't care if I, it doesn't matter. Like, I want, and the funny thing is, like, I actually have gotten stronger by by making that shift. But it's just,
Right.
um, but it's like, I need to be able to be an active part of their life. So it's like, you have to, like, when you're 20,
You have to
you don't
work at it.
necessarily have
Yeah.
to care about any of that stuff, but as you get
No.
older, you have to make it a priority. So very cool.
Yeah.
Um, tell us something about yourself that isn't common knowledge. Special skill, a hobby, anything to let people know outside of being a techie, what's what you enjoy.
Um, well, I guess, I mean, I've said it all. I've shared
You,
my
you spilled
my
all of
bad,
the, yeah.
I mean, my you know, battling those old partying wounds addiction was, something I've shared before that's sort of like very personal, but it's kind of like germane to my story. And I'll talk about that anytime. But I'm active. We scuba dive, we ski, we snowboard, we try and, we're on the water, we wave run, like we like adrenaline type sports. But I guess my hidden talent is I can say things backwards. So I think it's really just my brain. Like I like computer languages. I would like to talk to a computer all day. And I can say words backwards. So you can hit me up with anything and I'll say it backwards.
All right, here. Well, we'll keep it on topic. So say know your why backwards.
Own. I Roy Wone.
I
Or
was like, I
Wone
said, I was like,
Roy
that's actually a
Y
hard one.
I. It
There's a
is.
lot
It
of
is. There's a lot of
weird letters in there.
W's and
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
I can
Yeah.
say I sang happy birthday backwards. I don't know, for a long time when I was young and I just was like, a teenager, I would say everything backwards in my head before it came out of my mouth. Must have been really cool. It's like my nerdy superpower.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure that was very popular at parties. That's
Yeah, it was. Well, all my friends know that I can do it. It's pretty funny. My kids the other day like were throwing words at me and I just, yeah, that's my silly,
that's
it's my silly
that's funny.
skill.
I love it. When people hear this and they want to reach out, what's the best way?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can go to capbloom.com. Best way to find my schedule and hook up some time is demo.capbloom.com.
Perfect.
That's it.
Okay, we'll get that in the show notes.
Okay.
Well, listen, it's always great talking to you. This has been
You
such a
too.
blast. I'm excited for
Thank you.
people to hear your story and like again, like I CapBloom has been really great for us and working with you, and so I would encourage anyone who's
Thank
considering have the call, check it out. Like it's definitely worth it. So, but thank you for taking the time out of your very busy schedule to come on here and chat with me, and I
you.
really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Me too. I had a great time.
Folks listening, I know you're going to love this one. Definitely make sure you connect with Marisa, check out CapBloom, and please like, rate, and review the show so we can continue to get more great guests. Thank you all for listening.
Hey there, I am Dr. Jason Balara, and this is the Know Your Why podcast, where we explore the why behind success. Every week, I meet with real estate investors, veterinary entrepreneurs, mindset coaches, authors, and fitness professionals to uncover their why and how it drives them on the winding road to success. What is your why?